And we are back, yes. And right now it is all about poetry. Remember, tomorrow we get to celebrate World Poetry Day. And we've decided to bring the celebrations earlier, you know, by just speaking about poetry and getting to understand the evolution of poetry in this country. And what better way than to have poets in studio with us to speak about it. One of them is a veteran. He's been doing this for the longest and even has events that run every week, you know, poetry events that run every week at the Kenya National Theatre. That is Poetry After Lunch. His name is none other than Kenneth B. Kenneth B., welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to have you too.
All right, and then we also have a poet who is also in this and has been doing this, and this is something that he loves. He goes by the name Kaki Poet. Kaki,
Asante.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
You're doing well?
Yes, yes.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you here. Now, we are here to speak about poetry, just poetry in general, getting to understand what poetry is, you know, get to understand your individual journeys in this field of poetry, and just how far we've come as a country in that field. And maybe, if I may just begin with you, Kenneth.
Yeah.
If you were to describe poetry, what would you say poetry is, just in general?
I think the landscape has been so rugged because it started hard and it's still hard, but we are moving, the trajectory is fine. Because when we started, when I came to the scene, it was Slam Africa. That is how we came to connect, and then through that, we had Buddha Blaze give us the first events and pay us for the first events, and it was so inspiring. And then we still had to walk the journey and never give up because it was still too new. People were like, unaniongelesha nisikie nini? There is music. Why are you talking?
Yeah.
You need to sing on beat or something like that. But we insisted that there are some thoughts that are best spoken than sung. So we really had to figure out our way of being the major deal, not the minor deal. Like when there are events, it's not like, okay, you guys will interlude, we'll find a space for you somewhere. So of late we've become headliners. Like there are poetry gigs, there are poetry shows, there are headliners in events, and it's been quite a struggle, yes. But then the major thing that came to be is that we transformed poetry, spoken word poetry, into a corporate vehicle that can drive serious agenda that other entities do need. Like we've worked with a lot of people just to make sure that poetry now pays. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Kaki, from your end, just how would you say, what would you say poetry is, and how has it been for you, you know, being in this journey?
Poetry, for me, it's like an avenue for expression. Like sometimes you want to express your way in a particular way that you cannot express yourself in another form of art.
Yeah.
Like for the journey for me, it has been, I thank Kenneth B. He's the one holding my hand. He discovered me when I was in university. So that's how I started poetry. Yes, and I've been consistent with the poetry for like the past 8 years. The journey with me is, I used to write a lot, but there was one friend who recommended me to go to Poetry After Lunch. He told me, by the way, your pieces are very nice. Have you ever tried performing? I told him no. And then he commended me for Poetry After Lunch. That's how I started my journey. But prior to that, I had started in high school, where I used to write the shairi pieces, the malenga and such. So it began like that. I did not have a piece for solo verse in Kiswahili. So when I started, I gave it to my Kiswahili department. They approved the piece. Once they approved, I performed it in the music festival.
Ulikuwa wale wanaandika poetry yenye zinaenda kukua, you know, performed and all.
Yes, yes.
Nice.
So once it was approved, I went to zonals, district, but I lost in the provincials because of stiff competition. But I love the journey up to now.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So you started quite early.
Yes,
and
yes.
you discovered that I am actually good at this, because if already in high school you're there as a student but your pieces zinaenda kukua performed nje, it meant you really knew that this is what you knew, what you can do, you know, and you knew I want to do this from an early age.
Yes, I knew from an early age because even if I go back to primary, I used to do exams. When exams is 2 hours, I do exams with 15 minutes. The rest 1.5 hours, I'm writing pieces. I used to write.
Wali.
Yes, I used to write like
Basa
that.
exams pia unaiba ufanye poetry.
I did not have time. You know, the other time
Yeah.
is for writing notes and everything. So I used to write that a lot.
Uh-huh.
So people used to wonder, why are you always busy in exam?
Yeah.
So when I get free time, I go and perform those lyrics to people at that time.
That's funny.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I can imagine saa zile mko kwa exam room and wewe hujui hata ni nini utaandika, but mtu mwingine ako busy anakupea pressure, kumbe hata anaandika tu poetry. Yeye anaandika poem zake, yeah, you
yes.
got up. But anyway, that's a good story. Kenneth, clearly you've really nurtured
Yeah.
so many poets in this country. I don't think there is a poet who's, you know, from a younger generation than you who won't fail to mention, you know, poetry after lunch somewhere or yourself. I think you've really nurtured so many of them. What gave you that zeal or that motivation to say, I want to bring up more poets in this country?
I think the acceptance of the inner self of me that came from those who listen to me. Because unless you look into yourself in the mirror, and that is the community, you'll never know yourself. So the community listened to me and they were like, you guys, you have something that really resonates well with our conscience. So when I realized that, and I held fast on it and decided to transform it into an art form that could really be shared, be many emulated, and we fought so hard to get a space where we could place our art for people to see. And it came to be Kenya Cultural Center, Kenya National Theatre. And we started very small, like 2-3 of us just sitting under the tree and sharing our thoughts. And then it grew out bigger and larger, and then it became Poetry After Lunch. And then as the circle continues, poets grew, others now went mainstream, others started their own gigs, and then it's a circle, it's a churning circle. We work with the young as we come up. So right now we are in a phase where we are working with another younger generation for us to bring them up. But the good thing is that for these guys to work and work with you well, there has to be food on table. Definitely, yes. And there I appreciate Hare Krishna so much for having worked with us over 10 years, supporting us with free lunch, and then the government also giving us the, absorbing the project and being part of the government, recognizing poetry, like coming up with programs like Poetry Theatre Development, courtesy of Poetry After Lunch. And this has given very many poets an opportunity to eat or put some coin, talanta, hela, put some money in their pocket. And then I really engaged other partners like World Animal Protection to just help us, train us through co-creation activities, workshops, and help us understand how best we could use poetry to champion for animal welfare. And it worked out so well for us, and we've been in this journey. Right now we are tackling other projects which we really believe will involve many other poets to make sure that at least what we do solve a problem. Because art that solves a problem brings money in the pocket. And ile ya self-exaltation ni chewing gum, ni bubble gum. Ina lose its taste and then people throw it away. Hey, nani alitoa ngoma imeisha? Ama nini? But an art piece or an art performance that solves a problem lasts forever. And that is where now we win. Because poetry solves problem. So courtesy of Lucy Wanjiku, World Animal Protection, Edith Kabisime, Tennyson Williams, we've really worked a space where we can now safeguard the freedoms of animals through art. And I think as we now go into our new project, which is using poetry to promote responsible tourism. And when I talk of responsible tourism, what attracts tourists most is animals. So we want to do something that in partnership with other agencies that can really help us engage many poets. Right now we are talking about 7 counties to train them, workshop them, so that we can develop content that will champion this in a broader base.
And I love that. I love that because earlier on, you know, right here on the show, we had a conversation with the PS for tourism, and we were actually speaking more or less about the same thing, using our creative side to sell our country. You know, there's sports happening, there's the rally happening, there's this happening. How do we use that to sell our country out there to the people? So I really love that. And since we cannot have poets here and not get to hear a piece or two, so let me begin with Kaki. At least Kaki, you can just pass the mic to Kaki. Yeah, Kaki can do something short for us as we continue with the conversation. His camera is number 1. Okay.
Okay.
I just...
Buddha. It's on. Buddha, ikamsori loves to keep it real. Submit after acting and define. Sublime nimekuwa kufanya from inside out, nimekuwa kufanya from outside in. Nimekuwa tafuta solace kwa mania. Then kwa hii state hakuna mtu atanielewa. Japo hakuna mtu anajua vile nilelewa, na nikiona pombe nakataa kulewa. Kila usiku nashinda nikiliwaza, kuna wazo nashinda nikiwaza, ili natafuta ule ambaye atanitimiza. Mimi mchanga bado sijahimiza, kusikia jina Kaki nini kuja kilini. Yule kijana mpole ambaye uko kivulini, hakuna haja kuogopa watu. Hakuna haja kuogopa watu japo niko na utu. Yule mzungumzia kubaliwa kwao, yunazungumzia alikopiga randa mbao, yunazungumzia ni Yesu tangu kuja maisha yangu amaonyesha upendo. Buddha. Sababu kesa mka maisha yako mbona unaishi na vitendo mresh, machaleo hata kupatia la vya kutosha, wako hapa kupotosha. Watu wa dunia wanafanya na wewe je, kwani wewe na Yesu kulendaje? Niko hapa ndani ya Kakimenia, nimechangisha na vitu za dunia, babako nitanjoo na mimi nitamrudia. Ina mtu anapitia kitu similar. Buddha. Utachezi vitu na similar. Kaki.
Oh, aye, wow. Very nice. This is how we do it. By the way, the whole idea behind snapping and not clapping, what's the whole idea behind
Maintain
it?
silence.
Maintain silence.
Yeah.
Msipige makofi sana, mnaenda
line zitapotea, mpige hivi line stick.
And then so the lines, also for the lines to sink in.
For the lines to sink in. So badala ya kuinterrupt na makofi mingi, you just snap your fingers and relax. Like it's so chilled. I love poetry. And you know, poets are really intelligent people. That's for sure.
That's why he finishes his exams in 15 minutes and spends 45 minutes writing poetry.
Exactly. Poets are really intelligent fellows. Now, back to you, Kaki, and just the piece that you've gotten to do. Just tell us a bit about it.
Okay. This piece is called Buddha. How I wrote it, it came in a unique way because I did not have a particular idea I was writing towards, but the lines came because I was trying to find some acceptance about myself, because I was trying to look for a journey I've come for poetry, and I was looking at a piece that can resonate to me and also can resonate to the general public and also the general Buddha, yani general machali wa kaida. So the thing I was finding kind of, it was coming from a relation point because it was talking about my journey, the struggles that I've had as an artist, the struggles I've had with mental health and things like those. So I was coming from a personal point and also showing that there's also solution. You can find solution in Christ. So Christ can give you solution to the problems that you're going through. So you see, kama I was saying, Buddha machezi dunia kwani wewe na Yesu kulendaje. So I'm giving an avenue that your problems that you have, Christ can offer solutions to your problems. Yes.
I love that. I love that for sure. Now, we'll get to listen to one of your pieces, Kenneth. It's actually one of your very newest ones. Welcome to Kenya, you know, where you were just speaking about our country and all of that. I'm sure we'll get to listen to that. Na leo umeniambia leo wewe haufanyi, you have your son here to do that.
That's why I literally passed the button.
The microphone.
The mic,
It's okay. Now, you know, how would you say poetry has changed over the years in the sense of how it is performed? You know, I don't know, you know, I'm not so into it that way, but I guess started out with writing or no, I don't know. Did it start with the writing, then the, you know, the poetry that we're used to whereby it's like a poem, you just say it, you just say the words, it's spoken word, right? And then now it's evolving over the years whereby we're seeing poets, you know, sitting down with someone playing a guitar for them, and then they, you know, like it keeps changing in a way, in a very subtle way. It's not like there's a big change, but get me into it.
All right. The systemic poetry that used to be there before Mashairi, or even the kupanga in lines, in bars, and all those classroom works, got their freedom through spoken word poetry. People had to talk and share. And it's a revolutionary spirit. So when poetry walked out of classroom, it became spoken word, where you can just express yourself without limitation to these guidelines so much, but you could place a little bit of rhymes and styles just to keep people also entertained at the same time. You are passing information and giving direction. Because I tend to believe that it's breakthrough. Because the class was confining it so much. We had to do it in some particular way. It gave people, it gave the practitioners a freedom to talk more unlimited, not limited by the tracks, the musical tracks. Like personally, when I started doing poetry, my producers, formerly then, David, Audi, used to tell me, hey Ken, Mazeyani, your pieces are too long, your music is too long. Like you see, a spoken word piece could take like 10 minutes, 15 minutes on stage when you're performing really any social commentary. You are talking to the community. So, and that is the gist of it. That is the good thing about it. Unatoa ya ndani yote naisha.
Inakutoka.
Inakutoka. So, when it's limited, like, it's 4 minutes, it's 3 minutes. It doesn't give the whole thing. It doesn't free your soul. It doesn't empty your nerves. But when you have the whole time to express yourself, you'll talk and then even get into trance and connect with the higher divine and even give people more. And then come back to earth and reconnect. So that is the special thing about spoken word poetry. It's not limited to classroom work. It's not limited to unnecessary workshops and teachings. It's not limited to rules and norms and some of these things. It's free. That's why I don't believe in so much putting it in a classroom or in a formal training things.
Yeah, you don't
no.
Yeah.
Because it will become boring and regular. It will be the same. It will sound the same again. I want you to speak from where you sit and how you feel. I want her to speak from how I want Kaki to speak the things he goes through, not like, hey, it has to be this way, this way, this way. That is the freedom we fought for and we came out from.
Yeah. Yep. Kaki, I want you to speak on almost the same thing, you know, just how it has changed, you know, from how you got to know poetry, where you started, you know, as this poet who writes pieces for his fellow students to go perform them. And I was among those people who were performing, by the way, you know, honorable adjudicators, teachers, and, you know, we did all of that. So just from there to now the poetry that you do, the kind of poetry that you are into, you know, whereby if I go to your YouTube channel, I can get to see. It's like music, yes, but not really, you know? So just speak to me about that.
About poetry, the way it evolved, for me, I used to love music a lot. I play guitar, so I tried to incorporate poetry with guitar. So it comes in a more subtle way because people are expecting me to sing. When I start with poems, so it gives them like a huge shock, but it comes in a way that it can relate with them because they love the rhythm of the guitar and also they love the poetry also. About the other pieces that I'm performing in, mostly in YouTube and also on TikTok, mostly for TikTok, I do most freestyle poetry. It comes on the moment, like freestyle. I do a piece freestyle because I want the person to get the raw deal, not to go back and I have to write fast. I have to pick a paper, I put it, and then I read it on the same place. So the thing is, give it the authenticity that you have as a self, as a person, because sometimes people want the real you, not the facade that is behind you over there. For example, like I'm freestyled, for example, I'm here with Vivian and Kenneth B, and I'm here in KBC, so I'm here so that I can see. You see, something like that. It's a freestyle, but I've done it right now. Yes, something like that.
So it's the impromptu ones.
Yes, impromptu ones.
Okay, your piece is ready. We'll get to listen to the Kenya.
Yes, welcome to Kenya.
Listen to Welcome to Kenya. But even as the DJ does that, maybe you can just speak on nurturing young talents, you know, and the importance of that, just nurturing it from the very beginning. Because I can imagine if, you know, someone like Kaki started doing this maybe when he was like 7 years old. Can you imagine the growth that one would have? You know, just that importance of nurturing from the get-go, when a parent or guardian sees that, okay, I think my child is talented in this or that, not necessarily poetry.
We have a TIP, Talent Incubation Program at the Kenya Cultural Center, where we focus mainly on kids. So it gives me a lot of confidence in saying that a good parent should always look at his child or her child and appreciate the talent that is in him or in her. And that is the first success any parent could give a kid, because we are moving into a future where it's talent, sports, and money. There is nothing much. So if that can be identified early enough and then be channeled towards the right direction, then that child will grow as a holistic person. Ule anaweza follow the career and still do the art piece and run businesses and do things. Without that mentality, white collar business and period, and I want you to be a pilot and an administrator, lawyer, period. And then you find somebody running from law to back to the stage, which we appreciate sometimes, mostly, than running from the stage to the law office. So I think identifying a kid's talent when he or she is still young is the best gift a parent can give a kid.
Okay, let's get to listen to Welcome to Kenya, the piece, and then we get back to the conversation.
Let one and all arise, with hearts both strong, so strong, strong and true.
All right. Could all the patriots join me in welcoming the beautiful souls who are traveling to enjoy the splendors of this prayerful land? Welcome to Kenya, the home of the 8th wonder of the world. Joy awaits all those who are on their way coming to experience the winds of the Sub-Sahara, the landscapes of Savannah, the greatness of Masai Mara, popularly known as the cradle of mankind.
To Kenya you're welcome. Book your tickets. Welcome. Catch your flight. To Kenya you're welcome. Get on board. Welcome. Hit the road. To Kenya you're welcome. Book your tickets. Welcome. Catch your flight. To Kenya you're welcome. Get on board. Welcome. Hit the road.
If not by ropes, then try our airways up there are so okay. Queues will never delay your entry into our great country. Welcome to Kisumu, where exciting boat rides will amaze your anxiety. Then after passing by Nakuru to see the flaming plumage shown by flamingos at the lake shore, kindly ask yourself why everyone else is talking about Mombasa. Being one of the best destinations for your vacation, the coast city is calling out for you to pick the next flight headed to the beaches where the white sands will definitely fulfill your wishes. Our SGR is also on standby, ready to take you to the scenic plains as the train meanders across the terrains that are not so hilly but balances the warm weather with the winds that are also not so chilly.
To Kenya you're welcome. Book your tickets. Welcome. Catch your flight. To Kenya you're welcome.
All right. By Kenneth B. And Kenneth B, this is exactly what the PS was talking about. You know, just selling our land that is Kenya. You know, so what prompted you to do this piece whereby you're showing what the wonders of Kenya? You know, when you come to Kenya, you know, what are some of the things that you can be able to enjoy, you know, as a tourist?
When I started, I told you that spoken word poetry has been given some good leverage into the national market and the international market by World Animal Protection Africa, who have really inspired us to love animals and work, put good poetry or good art there that can give animals more of their freedoms, enjoy more of their freedoms. So this piece was inspired by our love for animals. I realized that tourists come to see animals. But the best thing, the best philosophy, the best thing that people should do there, like it's always said, leave footprints and take memories. But you find that some organizations take animal, confine them to entertain guests, which is not right. So we want to promote responsible tourism through art. And that is why we did this, just to involve more poets there, because I've been doing the piloting, and we've found interest shown by very many organizations who really want to partner with us in this, so that we train more poets on how to develop lyrics that really go towards promoting responsible tourism that leads to promoting, again, animals' freedom. They are not misused by tour agencies to entertain the visitors that come to the country to enjoy at Serengeti, Nairobi National Park, wherever. The animals should be seen in their wild and be left in their wild. Leave your footprints, take only memories. Don't take their babies, don't take their tusks, don't take anything from the animals or even their skins or fur. Just leave them there, watch them, enjoy, leave them there. Do your bird watching, leave them there. Good attributes of tourism is what we promote. Yes.
All right. And I love that. Now, as we almost come to an end of this conversation, maybe to you, I've seen poets, collaborating. So, how do you go about collaborations in the poetry world?
That's a very good question. For now, I've never collaborated as a poet, but there are some poets who used to wanted to do some collabos, but it never materialized, because you say a person goes to a certain career or certain place. So when you try to plan something, there's some interest, but we still meet as poets, because the priority after lunch, we're still families, we still meet them and still engage in ideas with them. Because sometimes I can take an idea from Kenneth B, I can take an idea from another poet. So when you camouflage the whole of the ideas, it comes in a unique way and in different way, because sometimes you can go and listen to a poet and ask him, how do you write? Because you find their pieces amazing. So you take part of the idea, their writing process and everything, and then you combine them together. Yes. All
right. As we finish, I want us to rate the industry, the poetry world in Kenya, on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being we are at our best, and 1 being, hey, we still have a long way to go. Where would you rate it? On a scale of 1 to, let's start with the sun.
Okay, definitely yes.
Kaki, on a scale of 1 to 10.
I can rate it at 7.5.
7.5 is good.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are doing okay.
Yes.
All right. The remaining, what should be done so that we get to the 10?
The remaining is have more spaces for shows. And also see poetry is a career. You can take poetry as a career, because trying to explain to somebody that you do poetry, they ask you, does it pay? Does it really pay? But you need to ask a person, is a career as the way you are doing anchoring as a career. You can tell a person that poetry is a career. So, yes.
All right. Scale of 1 to 10.
No. I break the scale. We are at 11 because we are ahead of times. What you're doing, what you did before, is what they are enjoying now. What you're doing now, they'll enjoy in future. You told me you were here with the PS talking about the same thing. What are we presenting now? A live dream of what they're thinking of. So we are so much ahead. It's only that now, when I come to the bracket of 1 to 10, we are now, the rest of the community, the poets are at 11, but the rest of the community...
Where are we now?
4. Because we still need a lot of energy, a lot of money poured in, resources poured in, a lot of acceptance, a lot of stages, and a lot of identity acceptance. That poetry is an art form that should be led to champion for proper, peaceful revolution that can bring positive changes.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And I am sure that, you know, for all the poets out there, you have felt represented. You know, it was only right for us to get to represent poets and get to talk about poetry, you know. So thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate that you took your time to come to the show today so that we can talk about this. Remember that the flag of WRC is happening today in Nairobi, and as KBC we will be coming to you live with that, so just stay tuned because we'll be bringing you that immediately it gets to start. We will take you through the flag off, and then as they head to Naivasha for the championships that will be happening over the weekend. Right now, Good Morning Kenya Entertainment Thursday gets to continue. Don't you go too far, as Unique the DJ will be playing for us.